DBS community, welcome back to another Dragon Ball Super video here with Cal Chris. And today I'm going to be going over my top 4 placement Mecha Frieza list that I just got done playing in the PBG World Qualifier tournament, the webcam tournament that we just had here on Sunday, on Easter Sunday. Ended up finishing 3rd and 4th. Lost to, I think his name was Brandon. He actually ended up winning with King Piccolo. And that deck, it's very good. I did my best, and I definitely think there was there's one big misplay that I'll talk about it when I talk about that card later on in the deck. But that would have probably ended up winning me the game if I would have sequenced that a little bit better. But this mecha list is slightly different than some mecha lists that I've been seeing. And the reason was I looked at Mecha Frieza. And I realized that Mecha Frieza does not have a finals placing currently since its release. Outside of, not including locals, but every sanctioned event that I've seen, whether it's core TCG, whether it's a PBG event, some sort of Bandai event, I've yet to see Mecha actually in finals or win one of those events. And as good as the deck actually is, the problem is that I think a lot of Mecha players, we fall into this same kind of category where we all just we see somebody do really well with the Mecha Frieza list, and then we just keep doing that, and we're just okay with topping. So I changed some things up, some ratios, I added some stuff, and I'll go over why I did that stuff once we get to those cards. But make sure you guys like and subscribe. Thank you guys for the support. It was a great day. Played against a lot of very very good decks. Had a lot of good games. You guys will see all of those decks, all those videos on the channel. I've recorded every single one of them. So yeah, it was good. So I'm not gonna go over the leader because the leader's has been gone over quite a bit. We'll go over kind of the standard stuff that most mecha lists do play. The U9 package here, which is 4 assembles, 2 Shapiels, and then 2 Basils. I think this list is fine. I think if you end up playing 3 Basils, I think it's okay. Currently, this is a 53 card main deck with obviously a 15 card side deck, 20 cards of which are extra cards. I've seen some lists run like 22, 23 extra cards, and I think it's getting a little on the high side. I'm actually going to end up cutting this down. In best of 3s, I'm going to end up cutting this down to about 17 or 18 extra cards. And this is going to allow me to have a lot of extra lines of play. I think the way that this meta is going, that it's going to go, if you're going to continue to play Mecha Frieza, I think you need to run more battle cards and have the extra cards that you are using be, prevalent in best of 3s. A lot of the, the one-of extra cards that you can run, you can just put those in the side deck and then just swap them in for other ones. But I think we need to keep the extra card count down. One big issue that I found in the deck is that drawing was a really big issue late game. You're basically using U9 to draw most of your cards in the deck, being able to, either play it out for free or tap 1 energy and take a life to draw 2. But the problem is that people are learning how to play against Mecha Frieza. For the first few turns, if they can help it, they're not going to tap out. Turn 1, if they can't help it, they won't tap out, and now you don't get any value off of U9 Assemble, and it doesn't feel good to just tap an energy and just draw 2. You want to get the free play off of either the Shapiel or the Basil, and if you don't do that, it's not as good. So you need to find other ways in the deck to draw, and that's what I'm attempting to do. So you have the 8 cards there. Switch this deck around here. Lord Slug package. I'm gonna end up bumping this up to 4 and keep this at 3, or I may just bump them both up to 4. I think this package it's just slowly just getting better and better and better. No fingernail seal. It sucks. So Lord Slug, 20k barrier when this card's in rest mode. Your opponent cannot draw off of skills other than their leader. So I played against Red Broly. He couldn't draw off his Paragus. He couldn't draw off his super combos. It just was a very bad situation. And it's a 20k body, and it's barrier. And that's kind of the whole theme with this. A lot of cards have barriers, so they're really hard to deal with. The Lord Slug here actually put in a ton of work, the 1-drop. I actually used the second ability a lot, which is where you can tap a battle card. That will allow me to use a lot of my tapping effects. And it worked out really, really well. I wish I got through barrier, but it does not. So yeah, it's a 1-drop that draws you a card, and then you can swap into the 3-drop here. kind of like a swap. It goes to the drop area, but this package here is probably gonna get bumped up to 4 of because it is just extremely good. I found a lot of usage out of that today. Unisons, I run a split of Metacooler and Fujita. I'm going to be the first person to probably say this, and that's okay if I am. I'm sure some people will agree with me. I think in best of 3 formats, Metacooler is a better Unison than the Fujita Unison. Every time I saw this Unison, I just wanted to charge it. I hated it. I didn't want to see it at all. I think the reason is because in a lot of decks, your Unisons will die very quickly. And in certain matchups, like King Piccolo, I played against my buddy Jared, who played a Cell Surge deck, who played the Maidens. There's a lot of decks where this card's not very useful. Minusing 1 against King Piccolo or Launch, it just doesn't feel good. Turn 2 and your opponent's going into turn 3, they can swing with almost half their battle cards. It doesn't feel very good. Cards like decks like Dark Broly, decks like Sin, decks like Sin Shinron, decks like Dark Broly, decks like Red Broly, Green Gotenks, decks who are playing out very high arrival cards. Those decks, this card is extremely good in, and I think that's the glorious thing about best of 3 formats is that you can probably just play Metacooler and not have to run as many Fujitas. So I think a big change I would do is I would run a 3rd Metacooler Unison and bump this down to 1. Fujita being your floodgate, but I would basically only use Fujita for his finishing ability, being able to -3, tap an energy, and then getting dual attack, double strike, and 5k. The Metacooler actually put in a ton of work, and I didn't see it enough, and that I need to fix. I need to get more of these. I mean, I have a playset, but I need to add more to the into the deck. So it's a 2-drop. Has a neutral effect, where you can choose any extra card in your drop area that's a yellow energy. That's an energy cost of 1 or more. I'll put underneath this card and draw a card. This card here, I drew me so many cards. There were turns where I would activate a United Symbol on my opponent's turn. Also, with this card, whenever you activate an extra card, once per turn, this card gets a marker. So that's the only way you can get markers on this Unison. But you can do it on both turns. So, I use this on my opponent's turn, add a marker to it. At the start of my next turn, I basically absorbed this to then draw a card, and I drew another United Symbol, and I played United Symbol again to draw 2 more cards, and then add a marker to this. It's extremely good, extremely good. Then it also has Rejuvenate. For 5 markers, you remove 5 markers and pitch a card from underneath this, and you ramp the top card of your deck into your life, so you just gain a life. But yeah, I think my split's gonna end up being 3 Metacoolers and 1 Fujita, and then I'll put the other 2 Fujitas in the side deck. It seems like the best possible way for, just because it allows you to draw more cards. It just allows you to get value off of your extra cards too. And in the Cell Surge matchup, and this is very good for anyone who plays against hand destruction, if you don't have the ability to have 4 apes, which you should never run 4 apes in Mecha Frieza, if your opponent makes you pitch cards, just pitch extra cards. Who cares? Like, if I have to pitch a United Symbol off of this ability, that's fine. I'm going to pitch it, and I'm going to use this ability to then suck it up and then draw another card. So at least I'm drawing 1. So that's what I had for Unisons. 2 Planet felt perfect. In the concept that we're not running a ton of Saiyans for us to really search out stuff. But 2, it fell right in line when, when I needed it, I drew it. And when I didn't need it, I never really saw it, or I would just bottom deck it with something. You pay one life to play this, because you're never going to play 1 energy for this. Search your deck for a Saiyan 4 or less, add it to your hand, and that's it. Other than that, just a field card that just kind of sits there. So one of the targets is going to be the Prideful Transformation. This is one of the reasons why I want to run more Mecha Friezas, or more Metacoolers. When you run the Fujita never has 2 markers on it, almost never, and this card will never be live. So with Metacooler, because you can just continuously just keep adding markers to it, and it's much more easy. It's much more of an ease to add markers to this card. This card can come out for free. Has blocker, and also will put a card that's being played in the rest mode. It's played in rest mode, I should say. So it's basically a blocker crusher ball. Does not hit cards with deflect, of course, but any other card will just come in rest mode. Yeah, and like I said, when you have two or more markers on Unison, this card becomes free. So I may end up adding, if I do the Metacooler thing, I may end up bumping the Fujita up 3. 2 Poutine, You don't need any more than 2. It's there when you need it to. Very, very powerful card. Ends up being like your field general, stopping your opponent from playing cards with skills. They overwhelm, they successor out something. They haven't played anything this turn. You can just use this to tap it as long as it doesn't have barrier, and that ends up saving you games. So very, very good card there. You should always run that in most yellow decks. For my super combos, and this is always a controversial thing, I ran a 3-1 split. I ran 3 Krillin and 1 Gohan. So the main reason why I ran Gohan is that it is searchable off of planet. So turn 1, if I have a lot of the other cards that I could search out by planet, I just planet this, I just, pay no energy, take a life, so drawing a card and then search out my super combo to help me draw a card later on in the game. And I feel like this card is actually very, 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 very good. So it's a 1-drop. You tap any of your opponent's battle cards, which can trigger your Poutine, and then you can combo this card away. If you're when you're at 4 life or less, you can either A, draw a card, or B, if your opponent has more than 5 cards in rest mode, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode. 5 energy cost 5 or less. Yep, energy cost 5 or less in rest mode and KO it. I ended up using this in the Red Burley matchup. I ended up using it in my first matchup that I played, which I think was Android 21. Just used it just to KO cards. It's very, very good. Krillin. I do not run any Zamasu, as you guys can see. I think in best of ones, Zamasu is very, very good, and you should run a 2-2 split of Krillin and Zamasu. But for best of threes, you can kind of get a little more creative. I think we fall, as yellow players, we fall into this trap that we need Zamasu, so then we make it our fallback. And it's a great card, but I like drawing cards more, and I like drawing cards with super combos. So being able to play, it's the best feeling in the world. Like, if you're going for game and you combo 2 Zamasus, it doesn't feel that good. You're like, okay, I'm gonna combo 2 Zamasus, that's good. But with this, you combo with one of these, you bottom deck a card, draw 2 more cards, and you draw another super combo off of it, and then do the same thing again, and then do the same thing. It feels so good. I think this split is probably the best split currently for me, just because I can search this out. I will always end up seeing these at some point in the game. And it's a very, very good combination. I'll give you guys some tech for next set, is that these super combos here are going to be extremely good. These are the Rejuvenate super combos. Every color has one, I think, except for black. But if you have a Unison in play, this card is just a +1 at any life. So you can combo with this card at any life to draw a card, and then it goes underneath your Unison afterwards, which makes a Rejuvenate very, very easy. So if you guys don't have these already in foil, buy them up, because this card currently in foil is like $10. I bought them when they were pennies to $1, and now they're like $10 for these. So and that's for every super combo. All the set, was it set 11? Yeah, all the set 11 super combos are expensive. The new ones that are coming out, they're also rares. Get those in foil too. They're gonna be expensive. They're gonna be good cards. Yeah, that's what I got for the super combos there. 2 Spirit Fist. So this card here is extremely jank. My theory was, so I was originally running Crusher Ball, and I really like Crusher Ball. I don't own Giant Ball. I'm not paying for it. I bought it. I bought a full playset when they were like $4, and when I sold out of the game, they ended up going up to like 20 or 30 bucks. I'm not buying them again. But the great part about that card is that you choose a card that's being played and put it in rest mode. And that triggers your Poutines. That triggers all of your other tapping effects. And Crusher Ball does not do that, because Crusher Ball has the card that's being played, gets played in rest mode, so it doesn't trigger it. Spirit Fist allows you to do that. You can you choose a card that's being played and tap it, and then that will trigger your Poutine. So you have another target for your Poutine. I think I said this earlier as well. I'm just kind of going on a tangent here. This card here was extremely, extremely good in a lot of my matchups, because I would tap 1 to tap a card to then play Poutine off of it. It's just another way of being able to play things. You kind of have to get creative when you're not running Zamasu, and a lot of people say, oh well, that's why you just run Zamasu, you just tap whatever. But like I said, that's I've already explained that. But this card just allows you to do that. The bottom effect we can't do because our leader's not Universe 11. But it's a little jank. In matchups that ran a lot of deflect stuff, so the Cell Surge deck ran the new 3-drop Rosie that makes you pitch 2 cards and gets triple attack. That card's really annoying, but it has deflect, so you can't do anything about it. The other deck was the King Piccolo deck that I played in round 4 for undefeated, and in semifinals. Yeah, in semifinals, he played Drum, and if I had Crusher Ball, I could just tap the Drum, but I didn't. So this card just ended up being dead in those senses. So I may just end up going back to Crusher Ball. I don't think this card costed me any games, but I don't think it helped me win any games. So I think I'm gonna revisit this, probably put in Crusher Ball, get rid of that. 2 T-Blow. This needs to get bumped up to 3 in some capacity, whether it's me putting a 3rd one in the sideboard. Choosing a card being played 3 or less and just negated skills. And then you can choose a Unison or another battle card that's in play, and then you can also negate their skills as well. So this is a very good card. Just stops your opponent from going wide. If you have this card turn 1, if you're playing against a deck like Red Broly that likes to play out a bunch of stuff turn 1 off of their TP guy, you play this and it just negates the card skills. It just sits there, and then they don't get to do anything. So very good card. Like I said, may bump this up to 3 in the best of 3 formats, but in best of 2s, in best of 1s, 2 is fine. 3 Final Flash. Never have I wanted 4 of this card. So bad in my life. I wish I had 4. I think 4 is excellent. This is a card that I would run 4 of. Probably the only other extra card in this deck that I would run 4 of outside of U9. Getting plus 15 and then negating the skills of a card, ignoring barrier, is just extremely powerful. So I'm going to see if I can get a 4th one of these. I know they're expensive now, but having 4 of these is very good. This is one of the extra cards that you may want to run because you can use this as combo power, unlike things like T-Blow and Spirit Fist and stuff like that. One final Spirit Cannon. After all that crap of me talking about this card, I take it back. It is very good card. 2 different effects on it, which I resolved both effects. The first effect, you can choose choose one of your opponent's cards. Yeah, choose one of your opponent's cards to switch to rest mode. So you can switch a Unison, you can switch a battle card, leader, or a energy, which more likely it's going to be an energy. The second effect, you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards 4 or less and KO it. I did that. I did that in the Cell Surge matchup. I killed off one of his Rosies with this, and it works. At the best, as a 1-of, it's fine. This is one of those cards you can probably put in the side deck and then just add it in best of 3s. But in best of 2, in best of 1s, you probably want to have at least 1 of them. For 3 Bergamo, not much to really say about Bergamo. I resolved him maybe 3 times the entire day. Didn't feel great. The card's great, and I think you do need it. I think it's essential. But tapping in this deck is a bursting effect. So we're not, spending the whole game tapping stuff. We're kind of playing in just a normal stationary type deck. And then at certain times in the game, we're going to start tapping stuff, and that's when we need to have this. When I did resolve it, it put in work, but like I said, I don't resolve it that much, and I think that's fine. I think it just needs to be more situational, anyways. That's why I'm not running 4 of them. 1 Absolute Annihilation. You need it. Every yellow deck needs to play it. 3 energy. I've never spent 3 energy on something so perfect in my entire life. Stops your opponent from playing extra cards that. Basically, all extra cards get exhaustion. What I mean by that is every extra card costs 1 extra. So Senzu Bean costs 2. The Dimension Magics costs 2. Violent Rays costs 2. Anything that, if you're playing against Invoker, all of their cards cost an extra energy, even if Invoker makes their energy 1. How that works is that your opponent has to tap the energy first in order to tap the energy for that card. So if they have 2 energy, or if they have 1 energy, and they go to Violent Rays, when they go to activate Violent Rays, they tap that energy, and then they try to resolve that card. And if they can't do it. So then they're not able to actually do it. So this card stops a lot of your opponents from just having those cheeky things like Dormant. When your opponent taps out for Dormant, like they tap out and they go, you know what, they can't kill me, I have Dormant. You play this, and then they can't, play Dormant for free. They got to pay 1 energy. So Sparking also is really funny as well, because when your opponent tries to Sparking negate, If they're completely tapped out, this kills all their sparking stuff. And it's 20k, and it's deflect, and it's barrier, and it's a parallel foil. So what can't really go wrong with it. It's a good card. One secret ID. I wish I ran two. Just overall, I think the card is extremely good. I own like 3 of them, I believe. The problem was, I'm trying to fix my screen here. Sorry. The problem was, there we go. So the issue that I had was, I didn't really want to fit too much in the main board when it came to black. So I only ran 1. I should have put another one in the side deck. I didn't. But this card does put in a lot of work, just being able to just warp cards away. It's a game saver. So I definitely should have ran 2. That's my mistake. But 1 felt okay for the games that I played. 2 Frieza Army reinforcements. I'm in love with this card. I bought a full foil playset just because this card's going to get adopted into every single one of my decks, at least as a 1 of, maybe even a 2 of. So first thing, it is a negate. It's a 2-drop negate. It's a counter attack, negate the attack. Then when you negate the attack, you get to play off a token that gets blocker. So essentially, you're blocking 2 attacks. This is extremely good, just not against King Piccolo because they can kill us. But anything else, this card's amazing. What's nice is that when you're at 5 life, you can pay this card for free if you're at 5 life or less. So basically, it gains sparking when you're at 5 life or less. So with Mecha, it's great because when you're at 5 life, instead of paying 1 energy and then a life to play this, you just pay it out for free. Take the life, play a blocker, and now you have the ability to awaken. If your opponent's trying to kill your Unison, this gives you another Unison blocker, so then you can awaken freely and then use your extra cards afterwards. So very, very good card. I'm extremely excited about this card going forward and playing it in other decks. That's why I had to buy a full foil playset, because the card's going to be great. Speaking of more foil negates, we got 3 Nimbus. I'm going to bump this up to probably 3 in the main board, and I'm probably going to bump Nimbus down to 2. I think this card's better than Nimbus, just overall. I think this card has its situational areas, and I think that's great, but pitching cards is really, really bad currently. Just maybe that's just me. But having 2, I think, is fine, because you want it on turns when you know your opponent's going to go off. They have 2 battle cards on board. They have a battle card in a Unison, and their leader, they swing the leader first. They have 3 energy open, 4 energy open. It's great. Just Nimbus. Stop them from being able to attack anymore. Maybe sideboard a 3rd one, but I think this card just puts in so much work that you don't need to have 3 or 4 Nimbus anymore. The specialty 1-ofs, every Mecha Frieza deck will probably play, is called Bloodlust, a Cooler for counters, and a Champa. Pretty standard in most yellow lists that are Mecha Frieza. These 3 cards, you may play 2 of these, maybe 1 in the side deck. Same thing with this, you play the 1-of, and it's pretty golden from there. I need to see if I can get a foil Cold Bloodlust somewhere that's not like $10. 2 of the 7-drop Bergamos. This card won me my matchup against Cell, and almost won my semifinals series against King Piccolo. Won me my game 1, and it's a great card. So this card comes out for 4 if all your opponent's energy is tapped. So it becomes a 4-drop. It's a 25k triple attack barrier that states when this card's played, you choose all your opponent's energy, switch it to rest mode, and then they cannot restand until the start of your next turn. So against King Piccolo, I tapped down both of his drum blockers, and then they couldn't restand. And then you get 3 free swings at Piccolo or at leader. It just ends up being extremely good value. I think what ended up failing me later on was I was using these attacks for leader instead of trying to swing and trying to destroy his Unison. Game 1, I didn't really need it. Game 2 and Game 3, I at least in the semifinals, I should have did that. It ended up coming back to bite me, I think, not being able to remove his Unison, because it just gave him so much value. But this card is, I think, an extremely good tech card. I have found another card that I'm going to side in against King Piccolo. I'm not going to share what the card is. I will share it whenever you guys see me in Top Cut again when I'm playing a King Piccolo player. and I play it, everyone goes, oh my gosh, that card's not supposed to do that. So you guys will see. I'm not going to go over it currently. But yeah, so we ran 2 of those. And then Secret Rare was Supreme Kai. I did have a thought about playing the Heroines Legion one, but the problem is this card just gets rid of Unisons. And I knew King Piccolo, I knew Baby, decks that ran, you know, the basically the plus X draw Unisons. So like the King Piccolo Jr., the Baby Trunks Unison, all these stupid cards that just allow them to draw, or like Green Demigra, these stupid Unisons that yellow doesn't have. It irritates me. So I play this, and I swing, and then I tap another energy, and then I warp all those stupid cards and their Unison, all the work that they put into. This card also is very good defensively because you can stop your opponent's leader and Unison from attacking. So if they swing at the battle card first, boop, pop this down, negates their leader and Unison from attacking. You can then swing it for 40k, and then warp it to then warp your entire opponent's board and their Unison. Now for side deck, I had 3 more options for Planet. Sun Gohan is obviously for blue matchups, Invoker, Baby, Soul Striker, those kind of things. Whenever they use Dimension Magic or another counter skill to restand an energy, we hit them with this, and then we get the Rip a Life, and we get to rip a energy of our choice. Sun Gohan and Videl, I have been teching this card since the beginning of time. I've been playing since set 8. This card came out right before set 9 in the expansion. That's when I picked up a full playset of them, and I never really played them a lot. I played them in Cell Surge a little. I mean, not Cell Surge, and I did play it in Cell Surge. I played it in Surge-Ku, but this card's great for Mecha Frieza. So it's searchable off planet, so you can just grab this card from planet. And this card's really good against AOD. This card's really good against any deck that plays Black Mask Saiyan. Any deck that plays these stupid silver bullets against you, which I don't know why they would, but you can remove them. If they play, Broly, if they have a bunch of 5 drops on board, 5Ks on board. Black Saiyan decks that run the True Fighting Spirit cards. This card is a 1-tap, 1 yellow, draw a card, choose 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, minus my 5K. Just removes cards. Very, very good. You can do this also with, like I said, with Black Mask Saiyans, with the True Fighting Spirit guys, with the AOD, Bobbity, Bibbity, whatever that card is. Just remove a lot of those really small annoying cards, and you get the draw a card off it, so it replaces itself. And you can remove 2 cards. 2 cards or just minus them by 5k. So it ends up just being a very, very good tech to use. And we ran another Son Goku. This card came in for combo power in one game. I basically just sided out like 5 extra cards, and I just sided these 2 in and some other 5Ks, just so I had more combo power. And it ended up working out pretty well. I didn't really need to play these cards. I just combo them off. 2 Jirins. This is for the Baby matchup. Baby loves to play Android 17, and this stops Android 17 from basically popping my entire hand. So I play this card, draw a card, and then my hand cannot be returned to my deck by any of my opponent's skills for the turn. So it just counter plays him. He still gets to shuffle my drop area back in, but my what was I going to say? My hand ends up being fine. So I ran 2 of them just because they're not searchable. So running 1 just doesn't feel very good. Another Fujita came in once, I think. Came in against Red Broly. I believe I sided it in game 2 just so I had an extra copy of it. Ended up saving my life, so that's the good thing about Fujita. 2 Sorrell and Hop. I almost said Hope. Sorrell and Hope. Sorrell and Hop, the new Universe 9 cards. So these cards, they're searchable off of the U9. They're blockers. When this card activates blocker, your opponent can choose one of their cards and switch to the rest mode, which will trigger your Bergamos, which will trigger your Poutine. If they don't, get the draw a card. So it's a blocker that also draws you a card. But what's really interesting about this card, people need to keep this in mind, is the permanent. It says if you have a Universe 9 card in play, negate this card's energy exhaust skill in all areas. So if you have a Chapel or if you have a Basil in play, this card, if you draw this card next turn, you can charge this card for free. In this deck, obviously, you don't really need the blue energy. It's good to just charge kind of a dead card. But in other decks that run blue-yellow, this card is extremely powerful. And that's all I'm going to say about it, because I'm not going to give away too much more of my tech. One more cooler, just because it's never a bad idea to have more than one cooler. Death Blaster, aka Cold Bloodlust and Crusher Ball in one card. This is basically your second copy of Cold Bloodlust. You play it, you have to warp 2 mono. What's the requirement of it? 2 mono yellow extra cards that cost 1 or more, so you can't use things like Assimilate and Successor of Hope. You warp 2 extra cards that are not copies of this, which is fine because we're only going to run one of these. The card that's being played is played in rest mode with the skills negated, so it not only is it Cold Bloodlusted, but it also gets hit with a Crusher Ball, and it's no longer able to attack. And this is good. If you use Cold Bloodlust, then your leader can then put it in rest mode. But this card does both of those at once, so it just kind of saves you a step, and then your leader can tap down something else. SS4 and Fu. These are just 2 other overrealms that have multiple attacking purposes. This is a card that lost me my King Piccolo game, and you guys can watch the you can watch the PPG event back to see this. You can also watch my video that will come out when I played this card. My opponent's board, it looked like my opponent only had 3 life, and I played this knowing he had 3 life in my head. Swung like 10 times on board, and then after he ended up taking 2 life for something, and I look down, I see 2 more life. I'm like, where was that life at? It's the card was flipped face down like this, and it blended in with his board. So it's my fault for not asking, but it was you gotta play different color sleeves so it's easier for your opponent to see stuff. That's just what I'm saying, but it wasn't his fault. I should have asked, so that's on me. But this card's great in any matchup. Overwhelm for 4 energy and 8 for the overwhelm cost. It's a 25k triple attack. Opponent activates an extra card or any sort of skill, they have to warp a card. So it can stop a lot of different things. And then this is a 25k dual attack, which also has a lot of pressure to it as well. So I should have put another secret ID in instead of this, but I was trying to just test it out just to have 2 different options of overwhelms. And the last card is Release from Evil. It's going in any side deck. This card is also even main deckable, I feel, because this card's always a free cost. If you have a Unison in play, you can pay this out for free. Yeah, so this card ended up losing me my semifinals game. So if you guys go back and watch the video, you guys will see it. We were in time. We were in overtime. Last turn, his last turn. He was swinging in with something, and I used Release from Evil. And I can't remember, but I think I had a Unison on board. In my head, I don't remember having Unison on board, but I'm pretty sure I did. And instead of me just paying this card for free, I took a life. And ironically enough, when I took that life, Judge pops in and says, hey, OT's over. Tiebreaker, who has more life? And the card's face down like this. I pop this card, I grab the life, and as I grab it, Judge calls. And they're like, all right, who has more life? He's like, yep, he has 2. I have 1, I lose. Now, granted, my hand was absolutely terrible. I had a Fu, I had Supreme Kai, I had a Champa, I was tapped out. He had like 8 cards in hand. He was probably going to kill me anyways. But it's just really funny that as soon as I grabbed my life, that happened. But it's also my fault because if I had a Unison in play, this card's free. You just have to have a Unison in play. So that was my fault. So I deserved to lose that one. But this card here is extremely good. If you're playing best of 3, you use this for Reboot Gohan. Honestly, any matchup, any single matchup. If you're playing against a Xeno Cell, I used this in my Cell Surge matchup against Rosie. Popped it, lost a triple attack. And this is also why you should have a Unison in play, because this card just becomes free. And on your Awakened side, you don't have to take life to use it. So that's the glorious thing about it. It just becomes a really, really good yellow card. So matchups. Let me see. Matchups, we had round 1 I had a bye. Round 2 we played against Android 21, and he was playing the 8-drop as his finisher, the new one from the Evo booster. It was a little slow, so I kind of took advantage of that. Just piled on a bunch of Chappelles and Basils and just kept swinging with little stuff, and ended up just ripping his hand apart. My round 3 technically was against Red Broly. Game 1, slaughtered him. I ended up getting three of the Chappelles on board, and he couldn't really do anything. So I just drew. I drew amazing. Game 2 was it was down to the wire. My last turn, you guys will see it in the video. I just swung with a bunch of stuff. I got a Basil on board, comboed up to like 44k, and killed him. I was very surprised that I won that game. He couldn't combo out. Next round was against Brandon from El Topo Loco. Shout out to Brandon as well, again, because he won the event. We ended up going three games, 3 extremely good games that you guys will see. They were really fun. Ended up losing that game. Top 8, I played against Jarrett, who is one of the guys who plays at my locals in Ohio. Probably one of the best players in Ohio. I think he can compete with any single player in Ohio. There's not many. There's a handful of very, very, very good players in Ohio. I would consider him one of those. I don't think I'm there yet, but he's really good. He played Cell Surge, and it was a good game. We went to turn 3. He slapped down Xenocell. I Nimbus the turn, but I Nimbus the attack before he played Cell. I Nimbused again, and then I was able to kill him with the 7-drop Bergamo. Then we went back, semifinals, played against King Piccolo, went 3 games, and then you guys will see the results. So it was a good tournament. I'm very, very, very thrilled that I got the top. I got a world invite. Definitely going to use that. Definitely going to reap the benefits of that for sure. So it was good. I think with some of the changes I'm gonna make to the deck, I'm confident in saying this Mecha Frieza list is better than this type of Mecha Frieza list is better than the Aegis build. I think people should stop playing the Aegis build, try to fit more super combo that draw, try to do different things in your Mecha Frieza list builds. There's no reason to just throw in, Bardox and Bojax and just call it a day, because when your hand bricks, when your hand feels really good, it's really good. Probably tier 0. Probably better than this deck. But when you miss and you don't hit certain cards, you don't have much follow back. With this deck, you have so much other things that you can do. It just felt good just to be able to draw with my Unison. That's nasty. I can just turn before I can play a Nimbus, add a marker to it, and then next turn I can suck up the Nimbus just to draw a free card. That's really, really good. So hopefully more people start experimenting with that stuff. So yeah, that's really all I got for you guys. But thank you guys for watching. I know this was kind of a long deck profile video, but I just wanted to kind of explain some stuff that was going on. Make sure you guys like and subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. We do post videos weekly, sometimes multiples a day, and on the weekends as well. You guys will be seeing a lot of videos coming out the next few weeks. I have deck profiles from gameplays and new leader card designs. I got a bunch of stuff coming out. So thank you guys, as always, for the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.